Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sons and Daughters of Liberty. Sorry it took a little bit. I kind of screwed up the link the first couple times I shared it. I had to go back and redo things. Oh, let me go mute that. So I had to go make a few changes, and I set invites out to a few people. No guarantees that anybody's going to show up tonight, but hey, just not trying to have just my voice tonight. But with that said, I do suggest you read the description. Because we're to that point where not going to mince words with nobody, not even going to play it on the safe side. Comes a point, where do we take a stand? When is the time to take a stand? Yes, my description's full of questions. It's not questions that I have to answer. It's questions you have to answer. I've made my decisions. There's still a few questions out there how I'm going to go about things. But I'll figure it out as I go. And for those that don't know what is the funny little words in my description, it's Latin. I think you'll understand when you translate it. But when do we learn from history? Not to repeat those mistakes. When do we realize that we are being forced to run when we should be taking a stand? Or is it going to be brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor, friends against family, friends and family against family and friends? Or are we going to keep running until there is nothing left to run to, as we are lied to and bullied off each platform? I say no. No more running. No more being silent. I'm an American first and foremost, and I will defend my liberties and Constitution, as well as I will defend those that can't defend themselves to my very last breath. This is where I will take my stand, right here on YouTube. I'm not running. I've explained in previous podcasts. I've experienced this back in '09 where they were beta tested on other platforms. What did we do? We ran. End result. This is where it got us. The same crap. Same manipulations, the same deceptions, the same lies, the same tricks that we've seen in history. Divide, conquer, dividing us, forcing us to run, forcing us to pit ourselves against each other. Well, I'm not going to pit myself against each other either. I'm not going to blame those that decide to run. But I'm going to tell you, you're going to run out of places to run. They're going to come after every platform we go on. Some of you don't understand the analytics side of things. Some of you don't understand how search engines work. Almost every search engine for every website is tied to Google. That's how big of a monopoly they have. Yes, I know people say, oh, go to use DuckDuckGo. Well, DuckDuckGo search engines retrieve from, oh, that's right, Google. There is no place to run. Brave does the same thing. Everybody is tied in to Google. You have to be. That's the major search engine. What they do back in the day when we decided to create our own platforms, they blacklisted us. They took us off the search results. Very same thing we see happening today. Everybody talks about it, then they get scared. We're getting bullied off these platforms. I'm calling it for what it is. It's harassment, it's bullying. Cyberbullying at its finest. So when you run, instead of standing up to the bully, you're running. Now, that is your choice. You're free to make that choice. The problem is, you're going to run out of places to run to. They've tricked us into believing that running's the answer. Because here's what happened, guys. Most of us are older streamers now. We've been streaming for a while, some of you longer than me. It's the next generation will just take your place. They'll adhere to the rules. They've been taught, oh, we can't say this, we can't do this, we can't talk about these topics. And they're going to do it because they're taught to. And they see us run. So we're no longer the examples. I know some of you disagree on this. That's good. I'm glad you do. At least I know we still can disagree on some things. Because there's no right answers. Because we all know what happens if we take a stand. We've seen it. But we've also seen people that have huge followings and followers, but they're people coming to their aid and sticking up and their channels being returned. So we know it works if you take a stand. We see now some congressmen pushing the issue. But we can't trust our Congress because we've seen the manipulation and deceptions and lies that they pull every day. Now, time to get back to our history, back to our foundations, back to the most important weapon we have, which is our voice. Standing in unity, not division. They forced this division upon us. They pitted us against each other. They've created statistics so we worry more about the statistics, the numbers, the likes, the followers, than we care about the quality of the conversation. The fact that we're supposed to be having conversations to empower, free people, stand on the topics that are important, topics that they keep trying to take away from us. You know, like I said, in the end, it's your decisions, your choices. I'm not running. Consequences be damned. I'm not running. Running gets you nowhere. In fact, it has worse consequences than losing your channel. Many of you claim to be patriots, stewards, role models. So you're telling people it's the best action is to run when they're taking your liberties, your freedoms, your rights away from you? When we can't talk about Second Amendment gun rights? When we can't talk about free speech? When we can't, which is our constitutional right, by the way, Google, Facebook, Twitter, oh yeah, Gab, WordPress, Patreon, PayPal, and the list goes on and on. Our constitutional right is to be the voice of our constituents. They work for us. We have a right to bring the facts to the table, call them on their lies, due diligence by Constitution. And for you to say we cannot do that, for you to blacklist us, censor us, ban us, and all the colorful words, and you want to blame it on an algorithm, newsflash. Can't blame it on a program that you had a coder create to do. That you gave approval to do. The buck stops there, right at your own feet. Not a program, not an algorithm. You ordered it to be coded. You ordered certain words to be banned, certain groups of people to be banned, censored, shadow banned. The buck stops here. Calling a Jew a Nazi is quite colorful, I think, and quite hypocritical. And it shows you how much a bigot you guys have become, how much greed that you're based on. All we are is a commodity. The more traffic our channels drive in, the more you get paid. I don't make a dime off any video I make, any video I post or share. Why? Because I chose not to monetize. See, I make choices. We all make choices. And every choice has consequences. The consequences is I got to work my ass off for what little I have. Now that I'm in between jobs, I've got to work twice as hard to find a job while talking about these issues. When these issues are forefront and on my mind every day. When it should be finding a job. I'm tired of seeing our constitutional rights stripped from us. I'm tired of seeing these corporations manipulate, deceive, and bully people. That's exactly what you're doing. And by the way, cyberbullying is a crime now. Google, YouTube, Twitter. So is harassment. Oh, I know, you're protected in your TOS. Well, guess what? I found a loophole in your TOSs called civil courts. I'll hurt you. We can hurt you where it hurts the most, your pockets. And you better hope and pray you didn't delete that Project Veritas, and it better be sitting in your archive. Because if you didn't, you just violated your own policies, which makes you liable. Funny how things work, but I know how that works too. Subject to change at any given time without notification. See, I ain't new to the game. Been around the block several times, built my own platforms, built my own websites, created my own TOSs. Know the legality of things. You think you're above the law. Let me tell you something. You're not above the law. No one is. And somebody will find that catch, that loophole that brings all of you down. Because I don't want Congress to step in. I don't want government to step in and enforce things. Because we see how that works. But something's got to happen. Either you got to start listening to the people that made you and keep making you money every day, or you keep listening to the advertisers that are manipulating and controlling you. That's what it's about. It's all about money in the end. That's all you care about. You've gotten rich on your own greed. In fact, some you places are such a monopoly. Yeah, you do need to be broken down. Things need to be given to other places like the mines, upstart like BitChute, soft for open source software like Firefox. So we can take that control aspect. But one thing you can't do is control our elections, which you are doing. You cannot dictate to the American citizens that they can't have an opinion and a view when it comes to politics, because that is our due diligence. We have every right to voice our opinion when it comes to political matters and the people we elect and put in our offices. I wish I was a CEO member on some of your companies. Because some of you, I'd be pushing to have you removed for violating people's trust, for ruining good platforms. YouTube is a good platform. Used to be. I mean, it still is for certain things. There ain't nothing I can't come on here and find and learn, but I can do that elsewhere now. Ah, see. But the problem is it don't stop here. Google can control our search engines, who we search for. Type in, eventually they're going to blacklist sites like the Mines, BitChute. They did it on Ning, back in the Ning days. They started blacklisting social media Ning sites. Then people that started creating their own sites using hosting providers start blacklisting them. See, you guys, we made the mistake back in the early 2000s, 2009, of thinking that we could do the very same thing everybody else is doing. Run, go to the next platform. We quickly found out that going to any other platform was pointless because it was just happening. It was history repeating itself over and over. Then they start pitting us together using colorful words and labels to divide us. You know, we do have responsibilities. Just like if I start dropping too much colorful language, I had the responsibility to go and edit and age restrict my video. If I do not, YouTube has every right to punish me for it. Just like on the mines, if I get too carried away with my colorful language, even though it's protected by the free speech and should never have to worry about that, but I'm a respectful individual. Some people don't like that and it offends them, or it turns them off and turns them away. When you have an important message, the last thing you want to do is turn people away. So I'm trying to keep the colorful language out of it. It's going to slip here and there, can't help it. That's just me. And you know, I think it's funny. They want to try to interpret what the meaning of hate speech is when our Supreme Court has already clearly interpreted it. It is protected under the First Amendment. And I do agree with what Senator Crenshaw said. And he's very right. When you labeled Shapiro and the other one a Nazi, yeah, that has consequences. And that is literally hypocritical on your part. We're tired of it. Every last American citizen is tired of it. We're tired of being lied and deceived on the news. That's the problem. Everybody's turned away from all the major news networks and come over here and start watching everyday citizen reporting the news, reporting on politics, sharing their opinions and views. That's what it should be about. It should never be about forcing your will, your opinions, views upon others. If they don't adhere, we're going to delete your video. We're going to suspend you. We're going to give you a strike. All the other colorful things you want to do. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Because that's what happens with dictators. That's what Hitler did. That's what Marxism does. Communism does. Control the media. Control what can be said and what can't. Guess what? This ain't a communist country. This ain't a socialist country. We took a stand against the British to win our freedoms. We created a Constitution, Bill of Rights, to protect every citizen from exactly what you guys are trying to do to us every day. Now that you're getting caught, now that stuff's coming out there, now's the time for each and every one of us to take a stand. Start talking about these issues, bringing people on, letting them voice their opinion, their frustration. And it's time you listen. There's no more time to run. You drew the battle lines. Well, here we are. I know I'm not the lone voice out there. I've heard plenty of people talking about it. Yes, we can argue that being on here is a privilege. Okay. So it's a privilege to be on here. I can agree with that. This is a privilege. It's not a right. But what happens when you start manipulating things like has come out? What happens when you start controlling the information? Well, then it's no longer a privilege. Now it's a dictatorship. Now you're no better than these third world countries that have dictators. The very people that we oppress their people. Because that's what you're doing. You're oppressing everybody on these platforms. You're bullying them. to say you're not and to try to use colorful labels or try to blame it on the algorithms. It's just not going to work no more. I'm not scared to tell the truth. I'm not scared to stick to my guns and stand up and call things for what they are. Never have been. But I'm tired of the censorship. I'm tired of the fact that you think you can control everything and everybody. No, information's a dangerous thing. And we know, some of us know, we've seen the information. We've had stuff shared to us. What real kind of content is on these platforms. They say it's not. It's there under private. If you don't have a private link to it, you can't view it. But yeah, it's there. And it's sickening. And it's there because I take the time, at least twice a month, to recheck your terms of service and your policies. So I do know about that nothing's deleted off here, that it is archived in case of legal action, in case of a crime, and it needs to be, a court needs to subpoena it. Because if you got rid of it by your own policies, then therefore you've committed a crime. I love TOSs and community guidelines and legal jargon. Because it is our due diligence. And a judge will tell you with anybody this. It is your due diligence to know the law. There's no ignorance is not an excuse. Which you guys know that too, because you pay millions of dollars to keep lawyers. And knowing that none of us can afford to have a lawyer and pay that much money, so you run us through the court systems till we're broke. Yeah. Another mockery of justice. It just shows you how far we've gotten. We've got platforms that said we're not going to allow this content here. We're not going to allow our president to speak. Or with the Democratic Party, this is only going to be the only news network that's allowed to share it. Anybody else shares it will be sued. Sorry, can't do that. Newsflash, that's public information. It's protected under public information when it comes to our elections. We have every right to watch it, share it, criticize it, comment, and have our opinions and views. That can be argued in the Supreme Court and won. See, that's manipulating an election. Maybe I'm blessed to be a descendant of a Supreme Court justice. Although he was just appointed when it came to nomination because of the stand he chose to take, his stance against the peace treaty where we'd owe Britain, until, come to find out, it was far longer than he ever imagined, until Clinton took office. It's when we finally paid off our revolutionary debt. He took a stance and it cost him the nomination. But he did get to hear a couple cases while he was appointed. But that's what taking a stand means. Be damned the consequences. Stand up for what you believe in, for what you know is right. Not running. Not even if you know it could cost you everything. Our soldiers do it every day. Our men and women in uniform do it every day. They know the consequences of putting that uniform on. They know, most of them know, the oaths they take to defend and to protect our liberties, our freedoms, our rights, our justice system. Just like it is our due diligence to protect our governmental body and our right to have our opinions and views when it comes to elections. And anybody's opinion and view on that should be treated with respect, no matter which side of the pond, not the pond, wrong term, but you get the point. No matter what side of the label you choose to adhere to. I personally listen to all sides because we should. Then I investigate. I research how they voted, how they acted in the past. Do they support our Constitution? Because that's important for me. Do they support our Bill of Rights? Which is very important to me. Are they supportive of our Second Amendment? Do they understand that their job is not to interpret the Constitution, but uphold it and protect it? Those are the people against my vote. Not the label, because the label don't mean nothing. There's corruptions on both sides of the aisle. But we're taught not to do those things. You know, the reason we keep repeating history so much because they keep trying to destroy it, remove it. That's another form of censorship. It's another form of book burning. Censoring on the internet, removing people's content, that is a digital form of book burning. Did a video on it. Now, most of us understand in the communities, understand what CNN, MSNBC, Fox, we understand what this all the cable network newses are. They're labeled as entertainment. What should have been common sense right there. Never take anything for face value that they say. And we've seen history, love history, present history. We've seen how each network adheres to one side, doesn't jump. And that's wrong. They influence the election just as much as anybody else. That's not journalism. That's not reporting news. That's not reporting facts. That is opinion and views. That's what they are. It's not news. They're just actors sharing their opinions, their views, their egos. Throwing temper tantrums like a child when they don't get their way. Mocking what real journalism is. And I don't know if they even realize what they're doing. It goes back to what I said. We can't repeat history, especially that part of history. We can't have brother against brother. We've seen it. We've seen it after the Trump elections. Families pitted against each other. All because of corporations like Google, CNN, MSNBC, Fox. We've lost real journalists. We lost real news. Because if they were real reporters, it'd be all over this. They would call it for what it is. You know, some people think Project Veritas think it's not credible. Well, do your research. You should be researching everything you hear. You should be researching everything I say. Come up with your own opinions and facts. You know, yes, I use more than one browser. I just don't use Chrome. I have Chrome. Hey, Pam, I have Chrome for the simple fact of Hangouts. Got to have Chrome to be able to use Hangouts, since they got a monopoly on that and stopped allowing Firefox to be able to use it. The one thing I don't use is a VPN server. Why? Because I do too much research. And guess what? Every time you research on a government platform and a government site using a VPN, you're immediately flagged, which is funny because I know people that should know this, call themselves journalists, call themselves news information, but yet they're sponsored by VPN, which I'm sure they probably know it. Don't use, and what they don't tell you, they don't use their VPN, turn their VPN on when they're searching for information and doing their research. And it doesn't matter. All of our stuff, every keystroke we make is recorded. Maybe we forgot the old saying, once on the internet, always on the internet. Once you put something on there, it's never going away. Although we've seen a couple cases where things have been literally wiped. I mean, you can't tell me what I watched myself. What I sat there and listened to and shared with other people and watched, but miraculously, even on the way back machine, can't find it there. BS. So I've made it my point, just like I do now when I'm over on Twitter, since they love removing my things that I retweet and like that I want to come back to later and investigate. That when I see something that's important, I copy the link down. I go right straight to the page, copy the link down, come that way. At the end of the day, when I got time or in the evening, I'll go back and do some research. Or on videos. Of course, they're making it harder to do that now, but there's a way around everything. I'll just turn on my Streamlabs OBS and record it while it's playing. So I have a copy. So, yeah, VPNs are not, if you're going to government sites, you're instantly flagged because you're masking your identity, you're hiding your identity. I understand that. That should be a red flag. Oh, I said red flag. That's another word that the algorithm picks up on. Whoop-dee, don't care. Never cared. Used all those colorful words all the time. Guess what? Still standing. But why am I still standing? Oh, I'm a nobody in their eyes. Know how long it takes me to set up a live stream? Up a half hour to 45 minutes. Why? Because that's how many places I got to go to and share all the links. You see, there's nothing wrong with being spread out in all these places. Each place I'm at is a different audience. Different group of people. It's good to be stretched out a little bit. Yes, my personal opinion, it's a bit much. Wish I didn't have to be that stretched out. But I reap the benefits from it. Honestly, I do. I get to interact with my chat room here. Privilege of having 72 subscribers. But 208 on Twitter, pushing over 200 on the Minds. That's just my page. That's not my group. My group's, I think, at 153 now. But my content's getting viewed. A lot of these videos have over 1,000 views. Doesn't show in the analytics here. Doesn't even, it kind of shows on my watch time though. I have noticed that because my watch times are through the roof here of late. But if you look at my statistics, the last couple shows I've done, maxed out at 10 here, but yet great numbers on other places. So, every place has their own statistics. And I don't care about the numbers anyway, because what I care about is the interaction. The people that comment, that I interact, people that join me on the Gathering app. on the minds that we talk about things, share things, which is where I screwed up earlier today when I first created the podcast for night. Went to share the links. I just got a notification for somebody, so I am going to go till 8 o'clock because I don't want to bump heads with somebody tonight because he talks about just as just as much important information as I do, and covering other topics as well, which is just important. We can't. That's the problem. We're forced to choose the topics. For me, right now, it's been the censorship. It's been the censorship for a long time. So we got to stop it. And the more and more it keeps coming out, the more and more we need to take a stand. We need to come on this platform and use it. The more, like I stated in the beginning, our most powerful weapon ever throughout history is your voice. It's the one thing everybody tries to silence, to the point they teach us to silence ourselves. Silence is good from time to time. Silence is important, but it's knowing when not to be silent, knowing when to take a stand, knowing when to swallow your pride, swallow your ego, swallow your differences, and come together as a whole. So I'm not going to stop supporting the people that run as much as I want to, because then I'm no better than the rest of you because they have important information. I just know from experience, running is not the answer. They know it. As soon as think you find the perfect platform, there for a while, everybody was saying Gab was the perfect platform. Look what happened. Charlottesville came around. First time they ended up having to remove somebody's post. Got caught. Last year, another post. This time it was their hosting provider that went after them, told them they had to remove the content. I don't know the back end of it. I want to think it was a good Samaritan that said, you know what, we don't want you to lose your platform. I'm going to take it down. That's what I want to believe, and I hope it's true. But I also got to play devil's advocate. Maybe they forced him to remove it. I don't think that's the case, but hey, who knows? Wasn't there. But I'm not scared to play devil's advocate. Got to look at both sides. Is there a possibility that could have happened? Yeah. Because they had no platform to go to. Now, when you're backed in a corner, you got your back against a wall, and there's nowhere else to go, you're going to do whatever it takes to survive. So, I would understand if they did do that. I can understand that. Do I agree with it? No. They could have took a stand right then and there, and they would have made headlines. They could have been the shot heard around the world by taking a stand against that hosting provider, because all of us would have came to their aid on that. I won't turn down aid to anybody that has their freedom of speech taken away, even if I don't like them, agree with what they're saying. That's become the problem too. We've become so judgmental, set in our ways that we can't help those that need it, all because they have a different opinion of you. I've sat here for over a past year saying it's happening on all sides. People are getting banned and censored no matter what label they adhere to. But nobody believes me. So many people got to learn it the hard way. It's got to happen to them before they believe it. I know, I used to be one of them. I'll tell you what, it got me nowhere in life. Learning things the hard way gets you nowhere. I gotta admit, since I've been back in Ohio, this is the happiest I've been. But yet I gotta dredge through this crap that we shouldn't ever have to be talking about when it comes to our constitutional rights, our freedoms, our liberties. No, I'd much rather be talking about what the bill they passed here in Ohio today. Great job, Ohio. Shame on the one person with the label, that Republican that voted against it. But it's still got to go before our governor, and who knows what he'll do. If he'll sign it or not. Hopefully he signs it. That makes another constitutional matter being upheld and protected the way it should be when it comes to carried and concealed. Don't need a permit. Don't need to tell the officer you're carrying a weapon. It is our constitutional right. Many forget the part in the Constitution where these rights shall not be infringed. Newsflash to Congress. These rights shall not be infringed. You shouldn't be talking about the Second Amendment. You shouldn't be talking about the First Amendment. You should be upholding it and protecting it. That is your job. That's the oath you take. Corporations don't take those oaths. Corporations have to be dealt with in a legal matter. Some say boycotting works. Well, maybe it does, but we live in a day and age that is more digital than anything. And most people aren't going to give up those luxuries. Well, that's what they are. They're luxuries. Much like privileges. They're privileges. I got to have that Alexa so I can just tell it to play music, play Sons and Daughters of Liberty's podcast. Got to have the fancy watch, monitors everything, including everything you do, everywhere you go. We got to have the newest phone. I mean, everybody's hooked to the iPhones. I've never owned one, so I don't know what the big hype is. Other than you got to replace it every year and have the newest one. You know what that is? That's an addiction. That's brainwashing. Common sense. So, for many of you, if you don't like topics when it comes to our constitutional matters, censorship that's going on the internet, probably not going to be very fun to listen to for a while because this is what I'm taking my stance on. This is the topics I'm going to be talking on. Somebody has to do it. This has got to be foremost, our most important thing. When they start taking our voices away, that we can't have our views and opinions about the upcoming elections, about the corruption that's going on, then we've lost our government. We've lost our Constitution. Because they're saying we don't have a due diligence to speak. Our voices are the voices that influence when they're the ones influencing everyone, manipulating, bullying, deceiving, brainwashing. Not all parents are like that. Some people don't give in. But yes, Pam, way too many do. Why? Because we kind of fall in the same category. We got to have those things. Even when I'm working, I don't spend so much on my wants. I always stick to my needs. What do I need? Need food, need housing, need clothes, need to keep my vehicles up on the road, which I've failed at this year. You know, I put my needs before my wants. And why is it I feel guilty when I do buy a want? Well, because we're programmed to feel guilty when we go after our wants. I seen an interesting article today. Why so many Americans no longer take vacations? Because we can't afford to. I mean, I can't believe I've stretched $500 out for a month because I have to. I just cashed my last check today, which puts me back to 500, which I got to stretch until I get another job because who knows when the truck will break down again? Who knows how much it's going to cost me? Which I know it's not going to cost me much to get it fixed because it was nothing major that broke. It's just something I'm not going to do because if I do it and screw it up, it'll cost me more. But I tried never to take a vehicle to the garage. I should never have to. I've learned how to do my own work. But there is some things that you gotta swallow your pride and ego. And it's like, no, if I screw it up, it's gonna cost me more in the long run. Probably been a different story if I was working. But these are the decisions we have to make in life. Because it's become that point. We can't even talk about those matters. Because if we start talking about those matters, we start pissing off the corporations, the advertisers. We start meddling in politics when we talk about those issues because they're the problem. They're not putting checks and balances on these corporations. They're letting them do everything, skyrocket prices, and they never go down. When's enough's enough? When do we say, from here on out, if your corporation isn't in America, you're going to adhere to our Bill of Rights and our Constitution. If not, get out. The biggest influences on our election has been corporations ever since that Supreme Court ruling. And come to find out, we even got a bigger problem now. We got social media, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter manipulating the elections. And they are, some worse than the others. Twitter does it by shadow banning content, by suspending people that go against the status quo. And yet, look who owns Twitter. It's not the American people, that's for damn sure. I would love to be able to sit there in Congress and grill each and every one of them. Bring the facts, bring the evidence that they cannot dispute. We all have it. But what congressman's going to take our facts and actually do that? Well, they're limited so much time. Then there's the division within the Congress where they got to play politics instead of doing their jobs and honoring their oaths. That's why nothing gets done. All the fighting that goes on, but yet at the end of the day, most of them go to the bar, drink with each other, joke around like nothing ever, like it's everyday thing. So, do you want to leave this in the hands of the politicians? Because we've seen what happened with that. Everybody remember what they did to radio. Oh, maybe some of you don't. Radio's kind of a dinosaur these days. Everything's online, internet. And that's the worst part. I don't need the internet. I can reach everybody through ham, through CB. Sometimes those dinosaur things are pretty good because they work. They're overlooked. Like I said, you can never silence one. You can. Can't say never on that one. There's anybody can be silenced. We know that. But you know what I mean. Now each of us are having issues on some platform. Me, I've had less issues on YouTube, and I'm thankful for that. Blessed for that, actually. But then again, I also know why. I don't have that many people following me here. Why? Because I don't do what everybody else does. I learned from everybody else. I seen, I observed, I watched. See, silence is good sometimes. Just silently watching them watching the chats, learning from them, trying not to repeat the mistakes they make, knowing that one day I may need this channel for something important, more important than the things I talk about. That day's come. You know, I hate politics. Really do. Get you nowhere. I mean, I believe what the founding fathers created. We'll stand up for it to my very last breath. But we see how it's been manipulated, abused, how it's become so corrupt, vile. It's gotten too big. And they've made it so that the everyday people, the very people our founding fathers designed to have a chance, clear down to that homeless person on the street, could become an elected official. You know why they don't want people like us in there? Because we know what it's like to work. We see things for what it is. We see the prices going up, never coming down. We see them raising taxes on gas like they did here in Ohio again. But yet, I still see all kinds of potholes that supposedly that tax increase is supposed to go to fix. We see them using low grade, worse than low grade, asphalt that before winter even gets here needs fixed, instead of spending the money that supposedly these taxes are for to buy the real stuff that lasts to where maybe 5 years from now you just got to re-seam it and tar a few spots. Now we got away from that too. Now it's to just get the cheap stuff, so we have to keep repairing ours, so we got an excuse to raise our taxes. Then we'll let Google and all these platforms censor them if they try to talk about it. See what happens when our voices become quiet? There's nobody there to voice, to stand up, to show you what's going on. It's a shame that our systems have become so broken, so corrupt, that we can't even trust the very elected officials. Well, let's not forget how many times Congress has paid Google to do things. Now, most of you know, you've done the research, you found the evidence. They've been granted government funding. Look at where it's gotten us. It's gotten us to the point where we can't even do our due diligence as United States citizens and voice our opinions about elections. I'll be damned. I'll be damned if you're going to mock my forefather and our founding fathers. And I'll be damned if you're going to make a mockery of our Constitution and our rights. For those that wish to keep silent, that is your right. But that's a choice. It's not a right. I want you to know that. Because there is a point when we pass the point of no return. So, if running is the answer for you, I respect that. I just hope you guys see the writing on the wall and start taking a stance, taking a stand. Nothing wrong with reaching new audiences. I actually recommend that. I've known people who went as so far as go creating Pornhub accounts and started putting their podcast there as well. Last thing I would ever thought of. I mean, I got to give props to the people that thought of that one, because that was ingenious. It's a new audience. It's a different audience. Yep. But I can see the judgmental people coming out on that one already. It's like, what? They did. That's what happens when you're forced in a corner and you still want to keep your stuff going, and you're forced to run. You're forced to go to places where you wouldn't normally go. But there's reaping the rewards. getting new audiences, waking new people. So I don't fault them one bit. Don't judge them one bit. In fact, congratulations, you did something I didn't think of. I thought of a lot. That's why I have multiple accounts here on YouTube. That's why I had multiple accounts on mine. Loopholes are there. They're all verified, able to just jump right on as soon as you get rid of one. I'm right live on another. You made it too easy. But I shouldn't have to think of those loopholes. I shouldn't have to use multiple browsers just to be able to do searches. I gotta pay attention what time it is. At 8 o'clock when Be Rich goes live, I will, wherever he's live at, I'll drop the link in the chat so you guys, those that tune in, can go check him out. You know, like I said, I'm not done supporting people that go to elsewhere. In fact, I'm gonna support them no matter where they go. It's like I'm not gonna stop supporting those that don't support me. Now, we're supposed to lead by example. And I like to think that's what I've done this whole time I've been on here. I've lived my life by an example. Why? Because I've learned. I've seen what happens when you lose that trust. It's not a fun thing. Sometimes you can never regain that trust back. Because we live in a society that's just too judgmental. Can't see past the judgmental sides of things. Unique individuals like me that are so open-minded, that will question everything, but they will not judge a person by their past or what they said in the past. I'm judging you by how you act now, what you've become. Because, our mistakes are not meant to be repeated, just like our history shouldn't be repeated. But yet we got so many people that use it to pit us against each other, twist it, manipulate it, pick certain truths out of it, and give you the illusion that it's all true when they put their vile lies and innuendos in there that further divide us to where people don't know the truth anymore. Most people don't even know the history of our founding, especially our kids. And that's another violation of constitutional rights. When you go in there and dictate this can't be taught to the school children because it is a blemish on America, not what America is today. Bullshit. That's what made America. That's what keeps reminding people. That's why so many people, good people, want to come to this country, want to be a part of the American dream. Well, guess what? To all you out there, right now that American dream is dead. Been dead for a long time. We need to get that back. That had more meaning than anything. That's what other countries feared the most. Don't want a free country with free people prospering. They don't want people to have free opinions. And we can go clear back to the Inquisitions, the Crusades, where the Catholic Church was the first to deem the words heretic, heathen, pagan, common folk. But we've got those labels so manipulated, twisted. People forgotten the original origin, what the original origin of the words meant. It was to control the free folk, the free thinkers. Yes, there's dark parts of our history. Clear down to the founding of this country. Probably one of the darker parts for any of those that are Native American. You know the history. Yes, we learned from you. Yes, we handed the British their asses. Why? Because we didn't fight conventionally. We learned from our Native Americans. We learned guerrilla warfare. The British never stood a chance. Why does it take a major event like 9/11 to unite everyone, where everybody forgets all the programming and brainwashing, forgets race, gender, everything, and just unite over a cause? Why does it take a major catastrophe? Do not let our Constitution and our free speech be the next major catastrophe. When that is lost, America is lost. That is a fact. That is something our founding fathers and patriots since then have said. That is something some of our worst enemies around the world has said. We need to take that from them. If you take that from them, America falls. We let these corporations like Google, Facebook, Twitter, and all the rest keep doing what they're doing, then we lose our voice. Guess what? We fall. Those are things you should be thinking about as you keep going to the next platform, to the next platform. And let's get something straight. Not everybody that works for Google, for Twitter, Facebook, and all these things we've mentioned, not everybody believes what their employer believes. Many of them are good Americans that believe in what we do. But, you know, they're stuck. They have to work. You have to have a job in this day and age. And those are good jobs, good paying jobs. Nobody will argue that. So they know they got to keep their opinions to themselves. They got to silence themselves. Because the consequences of coming forward, you're fired. We need laws that protect these whistleblowers, that hold the company accountable. But we all know, you want somebody out and gone, you're going to do whatever it takes to get rid of them. Okay, I can't fire them now, but I'm going to make their lives a living hell until they leave. They need to be able to be held accountable for that. If you're breaking the law, committing a criminal act, if you're harassing, bullying, those are all criminal offenses. And you should be held accountable. There is no double standard. The law applies the same for everybody. It's time we start enforcing those laws. To all you people out there that wear a uniform, don't care what color it is, that is part of a legal branch. Your job's to enforce the law, protect and serve. Quit buying into politics. Your job is to the people, not the government that you work for, not the city you work for, the state you work for. Your job is to the people. Hence why it was labeled protect and serve. FBI marshals, your job is to make sure when governors and mayors, police chiefs commit crimes, violate federal laws, they should be held accountable. You should be bringing charges against them. DOJ, that's your job. Do it. Quit letting politics dictate the oaths you take. And yes, I did misspeak. We do need our Congress to make every corporation accountable. But they're not going to do it until we stand up, until we demand it. That's why what Google and them are doing is so important to some of these congressmen and politicians, because they don't want us voicing those opinions, standing up as a unified front, demanding action be taken. You know, I know, I get it. A lot of people don't want to weigh in on this because they fear losing their channel. They feel losing everything they worked for. You know what I was taught about fear? We're to conquer our fears. We're not to let fear run our lives, dictate our lives. We should fear no one but who you believe in as God, your maker, whatever you want to call him or her. That's the only person we should ever fear. Not another human being or corporation. Because when we start fearing them, we give them power and ability to control us. Maybe one day I'll actually be able to get other people on here to voice their opinions, but I get it. I do. Most people don't want to talk about the issue because of fear of losing their own channels. And there's that ugly word again, fear. What do we have to fear but fear itself? Wasn't that the famous quote? Why are we allowing oppressors to oppress us, bind us, treat us like slave commodities, treat us like cattle? We're just a number to them that makes them money. We're the true commodity. We shouldn't be the brainwashed minds before the slaughter that'll just march quietly to the slaughterhouse. Oh, yes, some of my poetry has real deep meaning that I've written years ago. Who would have thought the day would come where it has even more meaning? I never thought the day. I just thought they were words on a piece of paper. But then again, I know better. When you commit something to paper, it's committed to a reason. The pen is always mightier than the sword. Why? Because it's our word put to paper. It's our emotions. It's our thoughts, subconscious thoughts put to paper. May not have no meaning then, but boy, do some of those poems ring out. Music's the same way. We've lost true music. My opinion, our music industry's become the same way. Corporatized. It's sad that corporations have got more control over us than we have control over ourselves. We give up our freedoms to corporations. We give up our liberties to corporations. To the point most people do it now subconsciously. They don't even think about it. Don't even realize they're doing it. No, my job on here is not to teach. Not at all. My job's to make you question things. Think for yourselves. I can't teach no one. Only you can teach yourselves. Only you can realize the truth. I mean, honestly, I'm just some guy behind a keyboard. Uh-oh. And it looks like, okay. Why do I do this? Because used to enjoy doing this, to be honest. That's what it's about. We just some attention. But what happens when they take that joy out of it? Because that's what they do. Uh-oh, looks like I'm having issues with Hangouts. Oh, it's still working, I guess, so. At least it's saying I'm talking. Even though I can't access none of my controls in it. I was wondering how long before that happened. Like I said, they have ways to screw with us, mess with us. We know these ain't glitches. You know, they have ways to throttle our streams, throttle our internet at will. And most people think, oh, I just go over here, it's safe. Nothing changes. Eventually it's going to happen there because that's what they want. They've admitted it openly. We've had congressmen admit it openly in Congress. You need to censor this person. You need to suspend him. Stop his feed from trending. A couple congressmen's exact words were just those. Guess what? You just committed treason and sedition. You violated the very oath of office you took because you're trying to oppress somebody's constitutional right. But yet, the only people that can police Congress is Congress. The ethics committee is made up of Congress. And only Congress. We can file all the petitions we want and demand ethics charges, ethics violations, but they don't have to listen. And that's where they're wrong. They do have to listen because we are the people that keep voting them in office. And we all know this to be true. Well, for those that still remember their history. Yep, I'm probably getting disconnected here, guys. Everything's froze up. See what happens when you're stuck having to use one platform, one browser. And I'm going to try to close some of this stuff out. Not that it matters. Once it's froze, it's froze. You know, and that's the point that most people don't get. When you start talking about these things, this stuff's going to happen. We've documented it, recorded it, showed everybody. It's been caught on live streams by many streamers. But it comes down to the point that It's us that's got to take a stand. We got to pick our battlegrounds, the battles we fight. But we can't do it alone. We have to come united. And guys, I don't know if this is still streaming or not. I have no way to tell. Everything's froze up on Chrome wise. Everything else is working. I can pull everything out. Open Firefox up, works just fine. But Hangouts, not so much. So apparently my Chrome was froze up and I can't even close this stuff out. Let's see if I'm still streaming from my phone. Looks like I'm still live on my phone. Looks like I'm still live on my phone. So yeah, I'm still live. So I just can't access anything or see my chat. So. Looks like I'm still live on my phone. So yeah, I'm still live. So I just can't access anything. So that's nice to know. I stopped sharing, so you're not gonna be able to see the black screen of death I'm looking at. There we go. Now we get to not responding finally. And this is just another way to screw with people. Seen it happen. Had it happen to me in the past when I start talking about issues like this. But they'll say it's a glitch. Yeah, that's not a glitch. Not when it's repetitively on certain times, when certain keywords are said. For the most part, the algorithms don't mean anything to me. I understand them. And I also understand how a lot of the programming is involved in it. It's your tone of voice. It records everything. It's that sophisticated. It's truly amazing in some aspects, but in most aspects, it's just utterly frightened when it's in the wrong hands and being abused, being controlled to control people's free speech, their opinions, their views. That's the part that's always bothered me with these platforms. They have no problem honoring other countries' laws, but they can't honor ours. They say screw you. That's what they're saying to every one of you, every American citizen. They're saying screw you. Your opinions, your views don't matter. In fact, they need to be silenced. We've had Zuckerberg of Facebook say we need more laws like the EU has, China has. Those are communist dictatorship type laws meant to oppress, strip you of your freedoms. That's what he believes in. But in truth, he doesn't even believe in that. The only thing he believes in is his own greed and ego. So now he's going to try to bait everybody in with the cryptocurrency. And it works. Because everybody wants to make some money. Times are hard. Yeah, not me. One, I'm not going to do something that's illegal here in the United States. They've been quite clear on the crypto aspect of it. Why give them ammunition to come at me? You guys think about that? We give them so many opportunities to control us. Haven't you learned your lesson? Most of you should have learned your lesson right here when you was able to monetize. They draw you in till everybody's got, till they got the numbers that they want. Then they start taking it away slowly. Oh, you can't post this content if you want your stuff monetized. Oh, if you're going to age restrict your program, you can't monetize it. Wake up, guys. All right. I don't know if I can access what I can access and what I can't right now. I guess when you start talking about Google and Chrome and analytics and algorithms, they want to throttle the whole system. But yet they'll say they don't have a monopoly. True. We give you an option to use our streamer and stream from other software. True. But you still control the bandwidth. You still control and can throttle it. Trick no good. We've seen you do it. We watched you do it. I've watched people with perfect fiber optics watch it happen to their live streams. Guess what, guys? That's not their computer. That's definitely not their internet. Maybe they think we're just that blind. I don't know. But it's almost 8 o'clock. And I don't know where B Rich is going live at. If he's going, more than likely, he's probably going live on D Live. But right now, I have no ability to close. I don't have no ability to close anything out. Okay, there's that one closed. Still got an issue with Hangouts. And for those that don't know, those of you that stream on D Live, I can't even watch it from my phone, but I'll still share your links. I just can't hear what you're saying because all it does is buff. I've even tried at a friend's house that has perfect internet, so I don't know what the issue is. I had somebody say, "Oh, it's your software." It's not my software. Was doing it over there. I watched in Dabu7's chat rooms. I think it was just this weekend. There was people complaining about it. It was buffing, failed to load. So there is an issue there. But I do want you guys to know I'm not going to stop supporting you, even though every bone in my body says I probably should because you're running. But that's what they want. They want us to further divide ourselves. So I'm going to take the high road for once on this one and keep supporting. Because that's what we need to do. There's no right place, right answer. There's no wrong answer, for be honest with you. All right, this is getting ridiculous. The fact is, everybody needs to figure out when's enough's enough. For me, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. The straw that broke the camel's back actually happened on Twitter. So, and I'm done. I'm done with the bullshit. I'm done with this censorship crap. Somebody's got to stand up, and there's others that's standing up, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And I know some people are tired of hearing this topic. Well, you shouldn't be, because it's your very freedoms that are being stripped from you. And that should fire, if anything, really light that fire under your asses. That should really piss you off. That should make you want to release the dogs of war and take a stand for what's right. Take a stand for those that can't. That is your due diligence as an American citizen. Do not repeat the mistakes our forefathers made during the Civil War, where they allowed themselves to be pitted against each other. Learn from those mistakes. Learn from our present mistakes, how they pitted us against each other on these platforms. Stop repeating the same mistakes. When we stop, when we unite and take a stand, then we force them to listen. We force them to realize we're not going to take it. Then we start voicing our opinions to Congress. If the Congress members that are elected in office right now keep going the way they're going, well, guess what? We have the power not to re-elect them and put people in that's going to enforce our Constitution, uphold our Constitution. That's our due diligence as U.S. citizens, as Americans. It's time we start taking our country back and getting back to the way it should be. It's time that we bring back that American dream. All right, one problem not dealt with yet. But on that note, I'm going to wrap this stream up, obviously, because I can't even close out any of these windows. Well, imagine that. I'm actually still alive. I'm shocked the stream went as long as it did while it was froze up. While I was froze up. Yeah, I don't know how much you guys heard, what got cut out, what got missed. I kind of did foresee this eventually happening. It's not the first time, won't be the last time, you know. But I ain't gonna let it aggravate me. I'm not gonna let it deter me or stop me, because that's exactly what they want. I'm not sure if Be Rich is live yet or not. I haven't got a notification, but I know he's planning on doing a podcast, and I don't want to jump over his stream. You know, these are just some of the issues that we got to deal with and talk about. You know, where are you going to take a stand? I'm taking my stand here. This is the platform it needs to be done on. If we can stop it here, it'll keep going like it has been. Most people don't realize this has been happening since '09. And that's the problem. We made the mistake then, thinking running was the answer. It's what I said. We can't keep repeating history. Even present is history. Right now is the present. When I started this stream is the past. What we're talking about right now is about our future. The ability to keep doing what our forefathers set for us to do, to be ambassadors, stewards, to uphold our Constitution, protect it, to be the voice of it. That's what they fear. Stop letting them use their bullying tactics, their fear, pushing us to fear them that we're going to lose our channels. When the truth is, the illusion of it all, they fear us. They fear our voice. That's the truth. History has shown that. You know, another favorite phrase of mine, carpe diem, seize the day. Today's the day. Seize it. Use your voices. Let your voices be heard. Come together. Put your differences aside. Put your egos aside. Put your greed aside and unite. Quit running. That's my message. Stop running. Time to take a stand. Time to speak out. Stand as a unified front and release the dogs of war. That's what that Latin phrase means. Those dogs of war is each and every one of us American people. Our voice as a united front, taking a stand against censorship, against oppression, taking a stand against any corporation that thinks they can bully us and treat us like submissives. I'm nobody's submissive. I ain't nobody's slave. And you don't own me. The fact is, truthfully, we own you. That's a fact. Because without us, you're broke. Without us, you have no marketed investors. We stop using your Google TV. Google Music, YouTube TV, YouTube Music, Amazon Prime, whatever. You know, that's the funny thing is people forgot how much power they really have. And that's what these corporations fear. They think they've gotten so above the law, so far out there. Well, guess what? That changes. Your days are numbered. You can go through history and find out what has happened to those that tried to take those freedoms and liberties away from us. Go ask the British. Same with our politicians. You forget who your masters are. You're not our masters. We're yours. That's why so many of them want censorship, because they don't want us, as they put it, influence the election. They don't want us, basically what they're saying is they don't want you, me, to do our due diligence as a United States citizen, as an American, to protect our republic, to call out the politicians when they're wrong, to point out they're violating our constitutional rights. They're trying to strip them of our constitutional rights. They're trying to strip, not strip, let's just call it what it is. They're violating the very oath of office they take to uphold and protect the Constitution. Yes, we have every right to speak. We have every right to talk about elections. That's our due diligence. That's our constitutional right. To Google, shame on you. YouTube, shame on you. Facebook, shame on you. Many of you, many of your employees and the owners of it are Americans. And if that is your view on what America is, you're sadly mistaken, because we the people will no longer tolerate it. And to those people that work for you, that believe and are true Americans, time you step up, take a stand. Yeah, there's consequences, but your freedom is more important than the consequences. Why I opened up saying consequences be damned. Enough's enough. And if you're not steaming mad after listening to this video, I don't know what to tell you. You must like being somebody's slave, somebody's puppet. You must like having no freedoms. Because the truth is, when they get rid of all of us, you're next. Plain and simple. And we've seen it. Seen it more and more. They're going after their own. They're eating their own. They always do. That's what greed does. That's what egos do. They will eat their own after they get rid of the ones they think stand in their way. Think about it. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. I'm sorry I couldn't get anybody else on, but people got to work. People got their own things to do, own podcasts to do. That's why I went on earlier than normal. And you bite the bullet on that one too. You go on earlier, you're also interrupting people's dinner, time with their children and families. So I get it, I understand. But we cannot keep being silent on this matter no more. We got to stop running, because we're going to run out of places to go. We're already running out of places to go fast. And every time we run, go to a different place, we lose the very people that help create our channels. We don't create them. It's the people that watch us, that follow us, that subscribe us, that share our content. They're the ones that create us. They're the ones that make us, just like we're the ones that make Google, YouTube, Facebook. We make them. They just get to live their dream and get rich off us. You know, part of me really does miss the old days when technology hasn't become so far advanced, so addictive. Then there's parts of me that love this because we get more information now, access more information, be able to see things, and they fear that. You know, information is what it's all about. It's dangerous. He who can control the information controls the world. You know, that's why I'm not a fan of Julian Assange. He gets all that information, makes him dangerous, makes him have the ability to control, manipulate things. I'm not saying he's ever done that. I don't think he has, honestly, but that's the problem, because he can. But then again, so can each and every one of us. Somebody comes up to us with some information. Now, we have a decision to make. What do we do with that information? Because that information has consequences, especially if it's like we're seeing what Veritas is doing. People are probably going to lose their jobs over it. They're going to be harassed, bullied, threatened. Stories are going to be made up. We've seen all this stuff in the past. Nothing's new. People wonder why Ecclesiastes 1:9 or why 9 or 1:10 is my favorite thing. Favorite saying in the Bible. What will be will be. What was will what, or I can't remember how it goes. But basically, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything keeps repeating itself. We're constantly repeating history and not learning from our mistakes. Now they want to censor those that talk about our history and put it out there. Oh, that's not fact. We need to put fact checkers. We need to create our own fact checkers. I don't need you to fact check anything. I'll do that myself. Thank you very much. I have my own opinions. I have my own views. They're mine. And they're subject to change as I experience things and learn, as I listen to other people. We don't got it all right. We got a fraction of it right. We're ever changing, ever growing. But the one thing we do have right is taking a stand when it comes to our Constitution, our freedoms, and our liberties. Those are the things that should never, ever be taken away from us, oppressed. Anybody that does that has committed an act of war against the American people. They're trying to enslave us, dictate us. They've committed the utmost violation. Not only have they breached our trust, they're trying to say our laws, our liberties have no meaning. What have we done to other countries that's tried to do that to us? What has any country done when another country tries to oppose and oppress their views and opinions and their form of governments on them? That's right, they fight back. It's time that you learn to fight back against what's going on today. Carpe diem, seize the day, and release the dogs of war. Those dogs of war is every single American person out there that has a voice. Use it. It is the most powerful weapon in the world. It is what they fear the most. So use that as your weapon, as your tool. Speak out. Use that voice come election time to put the right people in office who's going to put an end to this crap. Use the platforms out there that are available. Reach new audiences, but don't run from the old ones. Remember who got you to where you are now. I don't have nothing more to say tonight. Because the more I say, the more I really want to go off. Which that should be the way everybody feels right now about the stuff that's going on. Enough's enough. I'm taking my stand here on YouTube. I don't care where you decide to take your stand, but no, you can't keep running. You're going to run out of spots to run. I'm no longer going to let these guys bully me, manipulate me, say I can't say this, can't say that, and I'm going to call them out for everything, just like I called out their algorithms. No, that's an excuse. That's a lie, actually, because you paid somebody to program that algorithm to do exactly what it's doing. So therefore, you're guilty. It's not the algorithm, it's you. Let's banish that lie first and foremost, since they want to keep using it and blaming it. And careful what you create. I'll leave that as a warning to these platforms that want to create AIs. Careful what you create, because you know not what you've created. To all of you that's listening, that watches this later, good night. Enjoy the rest of your week. And remember what it means for those that live in America to be Americans. Remember your history. Remember what it means to have liberty, freedoms, what it means to have a constitution. Remember what the American dream was supposed to be about. Those are things that's worth fighting for. In fact, there should be no question or argument. Those are the things that have to be fought for. And we shouldn't be fighting for those things in our own country. Think about it. I will see you on the next podcast.